In this next section, I'd like to bring you up to date with the latest and greatest process scoring checklist. It's been completely revamped and overhauled because we've done so many different things in the last year. Same thing for our quick start guide, which now has a little tag that lets you know what to do for a race versus a normal one. So I wanted to start with the evaluation form. So cover letter, I love the scoring system. I would expect that all of you put together some kind of a grading system for people turning in Blue Dragons. This is my suggestion. Feel free to tee off on this and make it your own, but this is a suggestion, which is basically a 100-point scoring system, 5 extra points if you use artificial intelligence, and you can take away 5 points if you goof up with the wrong questions, lines of inquiry questions being so important. So let me go through each of the questions or the sections real quick. So in phase one, how you conduct the fact finding, how you do the systems inventory. That's a big one. That's 10 points. Systems inventory, once you know what's going on, you have to figure out what are the elements of the system that you're looking at so that you can gather the references, the requirements. And that's the third part, collect the references. Then you start organizing the specific requirements for the specific activities. Those are the defenses that are going to go on the chart so that we can then do the next part, which is analyze the information, starting with the analysis of defenses. You know that that gives us about 70-80% of everything. Then the timeline by itself, because if there's new questions coming up that haven't come up before, you might have found a gap in your defenses. Then there's the data analysis. Huge numbers of data can be analyzed, and people often forget to look for things like previous reports from other independent oversight groups, key performance indicators. Your corrective action program database is the first place you should go to and download on a spreadsheet. And all of that can be done with AI. Then there's the behavioral analysis. So there you go. You have to figure out where folks were set up to fail by external pressures. The average behavior jumps out at you. Average behaviors are easy to catch from the timelines, from the sequence of events. But the error likely situations, they will not be easy to spot on a timeline. You have to ask directly, what were you experiencing at the time that might have led you to make a mistake? Okay, then questions to avoid. So you know what these are, and if the grader sees any of these types of questions, they are to take away points from the scoring, right? No leading the witness questions, no curiosity questions, knowledge questions, and so on. Next, the focus groups. So this is just the preps. This is the key stakeholder analysis and the scheduling in the right sequence, right? Religiously, workers first, then first lines, middle management, senior management. You always end with the senior managers of the affected organizations. And if you don't do that, I promise you it will be a bad exit. I promise you. In one case, at one of the DOE sites, the lead Blue Dragon analyst completely misused the Blue Dragon approach. All kinds of horrible things happened. They didn't do the final session with affected organizations. And after 20 minutes of his exit briefing, everyone walked out on him because it was all garbage and nobody had bought off on anything that they were exiting on. And everyone left the room and left that. It was a manager who was leading the Blue Dragon. It was terrible. Anyway, from experience, be careful. Next, I went backwards. Sorry, hang on. Let me go in this direction. Key stakeholder analysis, right? Make sure you've tagged everyone who's going to answer your questions, schedule the groups in the right order, facilitate the groups, and I've broken this out into the introductions, the lines of inquiry questions, the framing the questions, the Socratic follow-up questions, and then validating the answers. Everything that you've been taught in class, you can track on this checklist. Then comes identifying the issues, the contributing factors, the deep-seated causes, the common causes, the contributing factors. There's so many different terms used out there. I don't worry so much about the terms. I worry that you've identified the deep issues and the other significant issues that keep showing up that need to be addressed. And then the corrective action plan. And your job here is to coach them on how to do it right. Hierarchy of hazard controls, lean mistake proofing, extent of root cause and contributing factor determinations. And I do that myself. I don't let them do that. And then get rid of stupid stuff, becoming very popular, right? And lastly, the exit briefing and the final report. And for the final report, once again, artificial intelligence is your friend. You can do it so much faster now with AI. It wasn't even silly. The massive nuclear site assessment that we did with the massive chart, the report came out in 3 days. We handed them a draft in 3 days. Unheard of. Okay. Here's the final score sheet so you can tally up all the sections, all the scores, and somebody in some authority can approve it. And I would suggest you make this sheet or this document a part of your documentation for any Blue Dragon. So this is quite an enhancement from the previous generation. I hope folks are using it because this will keep you true. This will keep everyone doing these Blue Dragons consistently, right? Consistently following the process, the rubric. I keep saying in class, the rubric works, the process works. If you use it correctly, follow the process. Okay, any questions on this? And actually, who has a scoring system? Let's hear from Los Alamos, Brookhaven, Livermore.
Um, I know we haven't used it, but I really appreciate the tool and thank you for going over that, Rob. But no, we haven't been using it, but it's definitely something that we should definitely start implementing.
Very good. Yeah, if you want consistency, this is why I created the tool. And
Yep.
it's again now really much improved because it follows the latest and greatest, including the use of artificial intelligence, right? And in the order in which we do things has improved as well. Doesn't leave anything out. The other one was over a year and a half old, and boy, that's ancient in Blue Dragon months. How about Oak Ridge? How about Livermore and Brookhaven?
I personally
Lucas.
haven't used it, but Jason, who's on the call, he likes to follow rules a little better than I do, so he's probably has.
No, I don't think we've used this, but yes, I agree that it's a good tool. It should be utilized.
Try it. I'm asking you all to try it and make it a part of your routine. Because if you're not really following a systematic methodology and you're sort of reinventing the wheel every time, it's not going to be consistent. And management loves consistency. Or where's Brookhaven? I know there's several of you from Brookhaven.
Yeah, we don't use it. Ed Sierra is not here today, but I will mention it to him. We have something somewhat similar with checklist for corrective actions and things like that. But that's all. Ed is what we call the SME for our events issues management, which covers the Blue Dragon causal analysis. So I'll mention it to him, see if what he thinks.
Very good. We also have updated the quick start guide. And I want you to notice a couple of things. There's this little race car here. And of course, I chose a Formula One car because I love Formula One, if you know me. So yes, it had to be a race car. So for a race, you'll see the little car somewhere on that screen, right? So these are the minimal things that we need to do if you're doing a rapid apparent cause. And then there's the full blown. But 20 steps. I also have put in this little AI prompt here. This is to remind you, this is an excellent place to use AI. These are the steps where AI will be very valuable to you, right? One of the things that I would love to see everyone do in this initial phase is you would actually have a huge advantage if you can load every single one of your procedures into your AI, whatever it is, ChatGPT, whatever. Call it a data set. So have a data set, a file with all these procedures, and you can preload it forever. So now it's a data set that's there that you can draw on. That idea came from Perry actually. Perry has different data sets of different volumes of procedures, and you can just invoke a data set and then ask questions and having invoked that data set, right? But if you can figure out how to preload your requirements, now you can load in documents, Word documents, etc., with timelines and sequence of events and things like that. And you can ask AI to help you find the discrepancies. Here's what was happening, what applies, where was the deviation? And that will really help cut the corners there. You can ask it to create a problem statement for you. The systems inventory is particularly helpful if you have all the requirements loaded on AI. And then once you do your systems inventory, you can go ask AI, okay, please grab me all of the applicable requirements that meet these elements for the system I'm looking at. And then, of course, the specific requirements can be called out by AI very quickly. And you can follow the rest of it along the way. It's the same 20 as before. The sequence is there. The use of AI is there. What you need to do, erase, is here. So this quick start guide has now been updated, modernized, and you can see it's broken up by the 3 phases. And it's a really nice, it's a double-sided page. I really suggest you would print this out and laminate it to single page, double-sided, laminated, and have this at your desk handy. So between this one and the process scoring guideline, I wanted to arm you with 2 hugely powerful tools that will keep you on track, because that is one of the biggest problems that our clients have, is how to stay on track, how to follow the rubric, how to follow the process, and not create some one-off version of Blue Dragon, which has been one of the biggest complaints. I actually had to go see the chief executive officer of Consolidated Nuclear Security to defend Blue Dragon because the folks were doing a hatchet job on it and giving us a bad name. So I flew to Oak Ridge to meet with the CEO of CNS. And turns out he was also a Navy nuke. we ended up having a ball 2.5 hours later. It was a great meeting. And he was a believer. But unfortunately, a lot of organizations or folks within these organizations that take Blue Dragon go back and do some version of it where they like this, but they don't like that. They want to do their own thing. And it may not give you the same results. Again, I already suffered 30 years of trial and tribulation to get this to a point where it really works at the level that I play, which is consulting in some very serious areas like nuclear weapons, commercial nuclear power, right? So I know that what we do works. I know that if you follow the process, it'll work for you. And
Thank
that
you for
concludes
that.
it.
Thank you for that, because we just had a meeting just right before this one where we were talking about critique facilitators and root cause analysis. And they were saying that one of the biggest issues that we have is that we don't have a visual or a roadmap for management to know the steps of everything. And they really wanted that. And I think this is really going to help. Thank you.
Jason, you're very welcome. Glad that it's funny. Good timing, right? Now, these are in the reference library. They've been in the reference library. I just felt the need that because I updated, it'd be a great time to bring it up again and talk about it. So, all right. So I know Oak Ridge is perhaps on the right track now. Anyone else? Questions, comments about what we've talked about here today? Anything at all?
Hey, Rob, that quick start guide, as long as we give you credit, obviously it's copyrighted by you, we could include that in our procedures, right? As a
Yes,
reference?
I would love for you to include it in your procedure. You know, you see the little copyright mark on it, so I know I'm getting credit for it. But yes, I would like for you to use it to your advantage. Absolutely. Make it an attachment. Make the scoring system an attachment to your cap. The only thing the sites are not allowed to do, just to make sure I throw that out there, you're not allowed to conduct your own training with my material.
Hey, Rob, if I could just maybe add a comment. You know, I do a lot of work, I'll say, on the dark side, where I'm working for the Department of Energy Office of Headquarters, right? Office of Enterprise Assessments. And so I have the opportunity to get out to a lot of sites to see kind of what the various sites are doing. And time again, what I see is that the organizations that have ownership for causal analysis do a fantastic job generally with causal analysis. Where it breaks down is when things fall into that quote unquote apparent cause or less that basically don't even get looked at. And so there can be some fairly significant events that aren't even really getting analyzed. And so I do really like your cheat sheet with the race cars. And I think if sites could actually start thinking about how to actually get that out into like disseminating that down into, other parts of the organization where I'll say, people that aren't in the causal analysis, central program who are doing analyses, could at least have some like base level of things that they need to get done because we're just not seeing that. So,
Yes, we actually made a discovery while we were up at the Perry nuclear plant because we're looking into what is the reason why so many organizations are no longer doing root cause analysis. They avoid it like the plague. They write their corrective action program such that most events can be classified at a lower level, right? And we came to find guidance from NEI from 2016, NEI 2016-10. It's a document that was put out to the industry saying it's okay if you don't do causal analysis. It's been too much of a burden. Let's just track and trend stuff. And as long as you're doing some trending, and as long as you're just doing causal analysis on conditions adverse to quality, you don't have to do the rest. And it's okay to close out issues to other data sets like a work control document. So you don't have to do a causal analysis if you could just close it out to a work control document. It is the single biggest problematic document I've ever seen a formal institution like the Nuclear Energy Institute ever publish. I'm beside myself. I can't bring forth the words to describe how I feel about that. It's not good. Anyway, a few people like Brian know what I've said in private about that document, but it did the industry a disservice. There have been a lot of trailing off of doing causals and root causes. And instead of changing the model to be more efficient, like what we did at Blue Dragon, they decided to drop doing more causal root cause analysis. And as you know, unless you do a root cause analysis, you're not going to go deep enough to find the actions to prevent recurrence. By definition, you have to go deep enough and find the deep-seated causes so that your actions can have a better likelihood of preventing recurrence. Otherwise, you're band-aiding symptoms day in and day out. That's what's happening. And the industry has a blind spot in this area. In other words, there are not enough industry experts out there to have put that NEI document together the right way. I'm sorry to say. And I'll get off my soapbox now. Brian, you want to slap me now or wait till we're in private?
I think I coached you enough when we were at Paris, so I think we're good.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? And I appreciate Betsy teeing me up like that. Thank you, Betsy. I wonder what my heart rate is. I better look at my my little heart monitor. All right, we're coming up on the top of the hour. Does anyone have any questions about the topics for today?
No questions, Rob. I do have just a quick comment I'd like to make. After the last meeting where you spoke about how you used AI to help you in the data analysis, looking at documents phase, I kind of got inspired to try and incorporate the use of AI more into investigation. So I'm currently coaching 2 individuals who are leading 2 different investigations that have part of the data analysis. We had to look at a whole bunch of supplier quality inspection reports. And so I said, well, this sounds like a good opportunity. So rather than reading through 20, 30, 40 reports, I just dumped those into Copilot Researcher and said, go. I didn't even give it a prompt, just said, go. And it was quite impressive how it summarized those. There were some minor inaccuracies due to how people abbreviated some things in reports, part numbers of equipment, etc. But overall, I thought it was an outstanding, quick way to get kind of a high-level overview of where are the areas of all these reports? Do I need to do a little deeper dive? So I thought it was an outstanding use of Copilot, and I intend to get even better at using it for the data analysis phase.
Scott, thanks for the feedback. And just to be clear, everyone, it's not just plain Copilot. It's not Copilot analyst. It's Copilot researcher.
Right.
Very important that you get that distinction. It is phenomenal. I've grown to love it much better than what I've seen out there. And it's current, it's real time. But it does a really great job of dissecting your information. Very good, Scott. Glad you're coming to the 21st century now.
Yes. I wanted to go there. I just wasn't sure how.
No, glad to keep pushing the ball forward, right? Moving the needle is what we're trying to do.
Yeah, that's what I'm realizing. You just got to try it. Even if you think, well, there's no way it could figure this out, it takes 2 seconds, so just try it. You never know what you're going to come up with.
Absolutely.
So,
okay, I'm always looking to push the envelope here, but AI is the new frontier. We got to embrace it. You have to embrace it. And it'll dramatically reduce the amount of time it takes to do big ones, wicked ones. And that's where the return on investment is. The ROI is in solving big problems, not band-aiding symptoms. Take that to the bank. Hey, I want to say goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us once again, and we'll see you next month. I will stick around for anything else, but I don't want to hold people up past the hour, and we've reached the top of the hour. So once again, this has been very productive. I appreciate you showing up month after month. We'll see you in September. Take care.
thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.